The stars stretched across the sky like glittering jewels as Commander Elias Harper stepped off the shuttle onto the alien planet's surface. The air was thick with a sweet, unfamiliar scent, and strange, crystalline trees reflected the light of the twin suns. He adjusted his helmet and breathed deeply, feeling the weight of the mission settle on his shoulders. His task was simple in description, but impossible in reality. Meet the alien princess of this remote world and ensure a peaceful alliance between her people and the human colonies. Elias had prepared for everything. He had studied the alien culture for months, learned their language at least well enough to greet and speak formally, and memorized the palace layouts as best he could. Yet nothing could prepare him for the feeling that crawled over his skin as he walked toward the palace gates. The enormous structure shimmered in the sun, made of a material that seemed both solid and liquid at the same time. Towers floated gently above the ground, and corridors appeared to shift when viewed from different angles. As he entered, the palace seemed alive, almost breathing with him. Every step echoed softly on the polished floors, and delicate lights danced along the walls, responding to his presence. Elias marveled at the design, the beauty and intelligence that clearly marked the princess's world as advanced beyond human comprehension. He tried to steady his mind, remembering that he was here to serve a purpose, not to admire architecture. "Commander Harper," a voice called softly. Elias turned. The sound seemed to hum in the air itself, carrying a warmth he could feel more than hear. "This way, please." He followed, navigating a series of twisting hallways, each one seeming longer than the last. Finally, he reached a door carved with patterns he could not decipher. The voice spoke again, guiding him in gentle tones. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. That was when he froze. Before him stood the alien princess, and she was caught entirely unprepared. Her skin shimmered faintly in the light, her form unclothed in a way that revealed the alien grace of her body. Her wide eyes met his, and for a moment, both of them were frozen in shock. He realized instantly the mistake he had made by entering without announcing himself, and he stepped back, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The princess's surprise was evident, her mouth slightly open, brows raised, yet there was no anger, only a sharp, bright curiosity mixed with caution. Elias averted his gaze immediately, focusing on the floor as he spoke in the simplest, calmest words he could manage. I am sorry, Your Highness. I did not mean to intrude." Her eyes narrowed briefly, but she did not step away. Instead, she gestured toward the door. Elias nodded and turned, intending to retreat. But her voice stopped him. "Wait," she said softly, almost a whisper carried by the room's strange acoustics. You are human." "Oh, yes, Princess. Commander Elias Harper," he replied, keeping his voice steady, controlled. He kept his eyes lowered, not daring to meet hers directly. "I was sent by the council to speak with you, to ensure understanding between our peoples." There was a pause. The princess's gaze lingered on him, sharp and intelligent. "You are different from what I expected," she finally said. "I thought humans would be loud, brash, reckless. You are quiet." Elias felt a flicker of relief at her words, even as his heart raced. "I try to be careful," he said humbly. "I respect your rules and your privacy." She studied him, tilting her head slightly, as if weighing his words against something invisible. Then she spoke again, her tone lighter now. "Perhaps humans are more capable than we give them credit for." The moment was strange, delicate, almost surreal. Elias could feel a connection forming, though he knew it was fragile. He wanted to speak, to explain more. But the room itself seemed to demand patience. Words felt heavy and inadequate. I will wait outside," he said finally, indicating the door. "Whenever you are ready, I can return." The princess shook her head gently. "No," she said. "Stay. It is interesting. You are not afraid of what you see." He blinked, surprised. "I am trained to face danger," he said carefully. "But I also know the value of respect. I did not come here to harm you." A small, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. Most humans would have panicked, run, or looked away, she said. Yet you stand. You do not flee. Elias nodded. I believe that trust must be earned, and I also believe that appearances are not the measure of a person's intentions. For the first time, the princess's eyes softened. She moved gracefully across the room, taking a seat on a platform that glowed faintly beneath her. Elias remained standing, keeping his posture formal, careful not to intrude further. You are curious, she said, almost to herself. Why would you care about my surprise? Or my vulnerability? He chose his words carefully. Because I believe every life deserves respect, princess. And because understanding begins with observing, not judging. The princess studied him, as if considering the truth of his words. Then she leaned back slightly, allowing herself a moment of relaxation. You are different, she said again, but this time it carried something softer, almost approving. I have not met many like you. Elias felt a slight warmth spread through him. This was more than a mission now. It was a chance to build a bridge, to show the strength and integrity of humans in a way she could see for herself. Minutes passed in silence, filled only by the soft hum of the palace, the shifting light of the alien technology, and the distant wind through the crystalline trees outside. Elias realized he was not bored, not uncomfortable. Instead, he felt an unexpected calm, as if the world itself had paused for this meeting. Finally, the princess spoke again. Tell me, why are humans so determined to explore? So fearless in the face of worlds we might never leave? Elias considered the question. Because we are curious, he said. Because we want to understand, to grow, to help. Because we believe that even in the unknown, there is value, and every connection matters. Even this one, perhaps. Her eyes met his, wide and luminous, reflecting something like understanding. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps there is worth in this. A gentle silence fell over the room again. Elias felt the weight of unspoken possibilities. Here, in a moment of accidental intrusion, a connection had formed, one that neither of them fully understood yet. It was fragile, delicate, and entirely human in its complexity. The princess stood then, moving toward a window that overlooked the glowing gardens outside. Elias followed at a respectful distance, noting how every movement she made seemed deliberate, precise, yet effortless. The gardens shimmered under alien sunlight, pools of water glowing faintly, plants bending gently as though greeting the air itself. You will remain here for now, she said, almost to herself. And we will see what comes of this encounter. Elias nodded, understanding the unspoken agreement. He would wait, he would observe, he would respect, and perhaps, in time, trust would grow between them. As he settled quietly into a corner of the room, keeping his gaze soft and non-intrusive, he could not help but feel that this mission was no longer simply about diplomacy. It was about learning, about connection, about the fragile beginnings of something that might transcend worlds. The princess turned back toward him briefly, her expression unreadable yet softening. A trace of curiosity and perhaps admiration in her gaze. Elias offered a small, respectful nod. In that moment, both understood that the first step had been taken. The bridge between human and alien, stranger and princess, had begun. Outside, the twin suns began their slow descent, casting long shadows across the palace and the crystalline forests beyond. Inside, two beings from different worlds had met, and the story of their bond had quietly begun. The following morning, the palace shimmered under the twin suns, its crystalline towers reflecting light like scattered diamonds. Commander Elias Harper had been allowed to stay, not as a guest in the usual sense, but as an observer, someone the princess had chosen to watch and learn from. He moved quietly through the halls, careful to respect the palace's ever-shifting spaces. Every turn, every corridor, seemed alive, guiding him subtly, as if the palace itself acknowledged his presence. The princess had not appeared immediately. Elias waited patiently in the central chamber, taking in the alien architecture, the floating terraces, and the soft hum of technology beneath the walls. He had long ago accepted that this mission was unlike any he had experienced. It was not about orders, strategy, or diplomacy alone. It was about connection, about understanding a being unlike any he had known. Finally, the doors opened, and she appeared, her form dressed now in a flowing garment that shimmered with subtle colors, catching the light in a way that made her seem ethereal. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, there was that same trace of curiosity, softening into something like amusement. "Good morning, Commander," she said. Her voice carried warmth now, a marked contrast from the formal tone of the day before. "I trust you slept well in the guest chamber." "I did, Princess," Elias replied, bowing slightly. "Thank you for your hospitality." She gestured for him to follow. "We will walk. There is much to show you, if you are willing to learn." Elias nodded, matching her pace as they moved through the palace. The corridors opened into vast gardens where alien flora thrived, each plant pulsing with life in a manner unlike any terrestrial vegetation. Luminescent vines curled gently around crystalline pillars, and pools of water reflected not only the light of the suns, but faint images of creatures swimming beneath the surface, their movements slow and mesmerizing. "These gardens are tended to by my people," the princess said. "Every plant, every creature, is part of a balance. We care for all, and in return, they flourish." Elias studied her as she walked beside him, noting the quiet strength in her movements and the precision of her gestures. "It is incredible," he said. "Your people must be very devoted to maintain such harmony." "They are," she replied, smiling faintly. "But it is not only devotion. It is understanding. One must observe, anticipate, and respect the life around them. Only then does care become meaningful." Elias nodded thoughtfully. He had spent years exploring worlds and navigating strange cultures, yet there was something unique about the princess's perspective. Something that spoke not only to wisdom but also to patience and empathy. As they walked deeper into the garden, they came upon a small terrace overlooking a pool. She motioned for him to sit beside her. "Tell me," she said, her voice softer now. "What drives humans? Why do you explore worlds that are dangerous, unknown, and often lonely?" Elias considered her question. "Curiosity," he said finally. "The desire to understand. The need to connect with life beyond ourselves. Humans are persistent. We see the unknown not as a threat alone, but as an opportunity. Every encounter, every challenge, teaches us something about ourselves." The princess listened intently, her eyes reflecting the glowing water beneath them. "And you, personally, why are you here, Commander Harper? Why leave your world to stand among mine?" He paused. "Because I believe that understanding others can make a difference. Every culture, every being, has value. I want to learn, to protect, and perhaps, to build trust, even with those who are unlike me." She studied him in silence, then let a small laugh escape, gentle and melodic. "You speak with sincerity," she said. "Most humans would give answers meant to please, to appear impressive. You are honest." Elias felt a small warmth of pride, tempered with humility. "I believe honesty is the only bridge between beings," he said. For a while, they sat in quiet contemplation, listening to the soft rustle of the garden and the faint hum of palace machinery. Then, without warning, the princess pointed toward a strange vine that seemed to quiver as though it sensed movement. "Observe," she said, "the way it reacts. Not all plants are as passive as they appear. Some are aware in ways you cannot imagine." Elias leaned closer, watching as the vine extended a tendril toward a glowing crystal embedded in the ground, wrapping around it with delicate precision. "Fascinating," he murmured. "It seems intelligent in its own way." "Yes," she said. Everything here has a purpose. Even what seems fragile can hold great strength. Humans often overlook this in their haste to conquer or study. You notice, Commander. You see more than most. He nodded, feeling a sense of connection deepen between them. Their conversation flowed naturally, not forced by duty but by genuine curiosity and respect. Over the next few hours, the princess showed him the palace's hidden corners, observation decks where stars aligned in ways that only her people could understand, chambers filled with instruments that measured the very pulse of the planet, and quiet alcoves where alien creatures rested in peace. During this tour, Elias began to see her differently, not only as a royal figure with immense responsibility, but as a being who balanced strength with compassion, curiosity with caution. She moved through her world with care, each gesture precise, yet none felt stiff or artificial. Commander, she said as they paused on a balcony overlooking a forest of crystal trees. You seem different from the humans I have studied. You do not impose yourself, yet you leave an impression. You are capable. Elias smiled faintly. I hope to live up to that, Princess. Her eyes softened. Perhaps you already have. They continued to walk, and as the sun shifted in the sky, casting long, prismatic shadows across the garden, the princess spoke again. There are parts of this palace that are private, places few have seen. Yet I feel comfortable showing them to you. Elias felt a flicker of surprise but remained composed. Thank you, Princess. I will respect whatever you choose to share. The areas she revealed were even more astonishing than the gardens. Chambers filled with knowledge preserved in light patterns. Rooms where sound and color intertwined to teach history and science simultaneously, and quiet spaces where one could sit and simply feel the rhythm of the world. As they explored, the princess paused near a pool of glowing water. She knelt beside it, her reflection rippling across the surface. Tell me, she said quietly, do humans feel fear when they face beings like me? Elias shook his head. Not fear of you, Princess. Respect, certainly. And caution. But fear? No. I have learned that fear is often replaced by understanding once we see the truth of another being. And I see truth in you. I'm an I. She considered his words, then allowed a rare smile. Perhaps humans are more observant than I imagined, or perhaps you are simply different. The afternoon passed in this manner, with shared observation, quiet conversations, and moments of genuine laughter as the princess demonstrated her unusual ways of interacting with the world. Elias noticed the subtleties in her behavior. The way her hands moved, how she tilted her head when curious, and the small traces of vulnerability she allowed to show. By the time the suns began their descent, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Elias realized that the relationship between them had shifted. It was no longer a mission of mere diplomacy. It was becoming a friendship, one built on respect, shared curiosity, and the recognition of courage in both worlds. As he prepared to leave for the evening, the princess approached him. Tomorrow, she said softly, we will continue. There are more wonders you must see, and perhaps more understanding to share. Finger swatching, Elias bowed slightly, his heart warmed by her words. I look forward to it, Princess. She watched him leave, her expression thoughtful, and for the first time, a trace of anticipation glimmered in her eyes. Outside, the palace walls reflected the fading sunlight, and Elias could not help but feel that this planet, so alien and beautiful, had begun to feel like a place where two very different beings could connect. The first steps of friendship had been taken, and though neither fully understood what lay ahead, both sensed that this bond, fragile yet real, was the beginning of something extraordinary. The following day, the palace felt different, charged with an energy that Elias could not immediately identify. He walked through the corridors with careful steps, noting the subtle changes in the light and the soft hum of the structure. The princess had requested his presence early, and he sensed that something important was about to happen. When he arrived at the central chamber, she was waiting, her posture poised, yet her eyes carried a tension he had not noticed before. The twin suns illuminated her figure, casting delicate patterns across the floor. There was an unspoken urgency in her expression, and Elias immediately sensed that the day would not be routine. "Commander," she said, her voice calm but edged with concern. "There is unrest among the council. Some members question my judgment, my ability to lead. I fear their actions may put me in danger." Elias felt a chill, though he kept his expression neutral. He had anticipated challenges in diplomacy, but this was beyond negotiation. This was personal, and the stakes were high. "Princess, I will stand with you," he said firmly. "Whatever threats arise, I will help ensure your safety." She studied him for a moment, her eyes reflecting a mixture of relief and something deeper trust. "Very well," she said softly. "Then we must move carefully. Not all corridors are safe. Not all doors can be trusted. We will navigate this together." They began their cautious journey through the palace, moving in silence at first, ears attuned to every whisper of the building. The corridors seemed alive, shifting subtly, as if reacting to the tension. Elias marveled at the complexity, realizing that the palace itself could be an ally or an obstacle depending on how one moved within it. As they rounded a corner, a sudden mechanical click echoed through the hall. Instantly, a trapdoor slid open in front of them. Elias reacted quickly, grabbing the princess's hand and pulling her back. She stumbled slightly but recovered, her eyes wide with surprise and alarm. "Are you hurt?" Elias asked immediately. "No," she replied, steadying herself. "Thank you. That was unexpected." Elias nodded, scanning the corridor. "This palace is full of hidden mechanisms," he said, "but I have experience with traps and hazards. We will get through this." They continued cautiously, Elias leading at times, the princess guiding him with knowledge of her home. They moved through hidden passages, chambers that had been unused for decades, and corridors that tested their endurance and attention. Every step brought them closer together, their trust growing with each challenge faced. At one point, they reached a small chamber filled with glowing crystals that emitted soft pulses of light. The princess paused, her hand resting on a crystal. "This room," she whispered, "is a place of reflection. Few are allowed here, but I trust you." Elias felt honored by the gesture. "I will respect it," he said, his voice calm. The chamber was serene, yet it held an energy that made both of them pause. The crystals seemed to resonate with the emotions of those present, reflecting light and color in subtle patterns that shifted with every heartbeat. The princess knelt beside one, her fingers brushing lightly across the surface. Elias followed suit, observing how the colors changed as he moved. "You are patient," she said quietly, not looking at him. "Most would be afraid or impatient in these halls. You are different." "I have learned that patience often reveals what fear cannot," Elias replied. "And trust. Trust is built, not demanded." For a moment, they were silent. The only sound, the soft hum of the crystals, and the faint pulse of the palace itself. In that quiet, Elias could feel the bond between them strengthening not just friendship, but an unspoken understanding of reliance and respect. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the chamber. Elias reacted instantly, positioning himself between the princess and the movement. A figure emerged from the darkness, a council member who had clearly taken matters into their own hands, armed and determined. "You should not be here," the figure said in a harsh tone. "The princess's judgment is in question, and I cannot allow her to continue unchecked." Elias stepped forward, standing tall. "You will not harm her," he said firmly. "She is the rightful leader, and I will ensure her safety." The council member hesitated, surprised by the human's confidence and composure. Elias's presence alone seemed to carry a strength that was both unusual and commanding. "You are human," the council member said cautiously. "Your kind is unpredictable." "I am capable," Elias replied simply. "And I am here to protect, not to fight unnecessarily. But I will act if required." The figure studied him, then, recognizing the determination and skill in Elias's stance, slowly lowered their weapon. "This is not over," they said, disappearing into the shadows. The princess exhaled, a mixture of relief and lingering tension in her posture. Elias turned to her, offering a reassuring smile. "You are safe, princess. For now, and together, we will ensure nothing threatens you again." Her eyes softened, gratitude shining through. "Thank you," she whispered. "I did not know humans could be so steadfast, so loyal." Elias shook his head lightly. "It is not about being human or alien," he said. "It is about courage, respect, and understanding. Those qualities exist in all beings, but they must be recognized and valued." They left the chamber together, moving through hidden corridors and secret passages, eventually emerging into a terrace that overlooked the alien city beyond the palace walls. The twin suns were setting now, casting long shadows and bathing the world in warm light. "Commander," the princess said softly, "today you have shown more than skill. You have shown patience, respect, and courage. I am beginning to see the truth of your kind. Perhaps humans are not so reckless after all." Elias felt a small smile tug at his lips. "Perhaps we are capable of learning from others as well," he replied. She laughed softly, the sound carrying easily in the open air. "You are remarkable," she said. "I did not expect this. Not from a human. Not from anyone." Elias bowed slightly, though there was a warmth in his expression. "I am honored, princess. Truly." For a while, they stood in silence, watching the suns dip below the horizon. The city below began to glow with artificial lights, blending with the natural luminescence of the alien flora. It was a breathtaking sight. And in that quiet, Elias realized that their connection had deepened. They trusted each other now, not only in thought, but in action. The princess turned to him, her gaze steady and sincere. "Tomorrow, we must address the council," she said. "But I know now that I am not alone." "You will be there with me?" "Always," Elias replied without hesitation. "You will not face them alone," she nodded, a faint smile brushing her lips. "Then perhaps there is hope. For peace, for understanding, and for trust between our worlds." As night fell, Elias prepared for the coming challenge. The danger was not gone, but he was no longer just a visitor. He was a protector, an ally, someone who had earned the princess's confidence and respect. And in the quiet of the palace, under the alien stars, he felt the stirrings of a bond that could withstand trials, dangers, and the unknown future. For the first time, he realized that this mission was no longer about duty alone. It was about connection, about proving that humans could stand steadfast in the face of the extraordinary, and that empathy, courage, and patience were as powerful as any weapon. The night air was cool and filled with distant alien sounds, but Elias felt calm. He had faced danger today and proven his loyalty. The princess had seen his courage, and he had seen her vulnerability and strength. Together, they were ready for whatever the council might throw their way. The stars above seemed to shine brighter that night. And as Elias settled in for rest, he could not shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The bond between human and alien princess was growing, forged in shared trials and quiet understanding, and it would guide them through the challenges that were yet to come. The next morning, the palace was alive with tension. The council chambers, normally serene and orderly, buzzed with whispers and muted argument. Elias Harper walked beside the princess, who moved with quiet determination, her gaze steady despite the weight of her responsibilities. Today would decide her future and the stability of her people, and Elias knew that his role was more than observer. He was her ally, her protector, and her voice when reason alone might not suffice. As they entered the council chambers, the alien council members turned to face them. Their expressions were sharp, judgmental, and in some cases, openly hostile. The princess's usual composure held, but Elias could see the tension in her shoulders, the slight narrowing of her eyes as she prepared for the scrutiny to come. "Princess," Elias said softly, leaning slightly closer, "I will stand with you, We face them together. She gave him a small, almost imperceptible nod, drawing strength from his presence. Thank you, Elias. Your support, it means more than I can express. The chamber was vast, circular, with crystalline walls that reflected light from hidden sources, bathing the room in a soft glow. The council members' voices rose in controlled arguments, questioning her judgment, her ability to lead, and even her reliance on a human, an outsider in matters of security and diplomacy. Elias remained calm, observing the council, reading their body language, and noting their weaknesses. He had faced threats before, but never like this, never in a room where words could be as sharp as any weapon. He realized that his presence here was crucial, not only to protect her physically but to ensure that reason and truth prevailed over suspicion and fear. When the council's accusations grew louder, the princess raised a hand, signaling for silence. Her voice, clear and commanding, filled the chamber. I am the rightful heir to this planet, she said. I have trained for this responsibility my entire life. I understand our people, our laws, and our needs. My actions have always been guided by the welfare of all, not by personal desire or fear. One council member sneered, questioning her reliance on a human. And yet you allow this outsider to influence you? To guide your decisions? Not. Elias stepped forward slightly, his presence calm and authoritative. I am not here to replace judgment, he said. I am here to ensure safety and understanding. The princess's wisdom, courage, and judgment are her own. My role is to support her when danger arises, and to help communicate truth when misunderstanding threatens her leadership. A murmur ran through the chamber. The council members exchanged glances, surprised by the human's calm and direct approach. Elias spoke with conviction, his voice steady. I have observed the princess closely. She is fair, intelligent, and brave. Her decisions are made with care, and her intentions are pure. If there is doubt, let it be tested by reason and evidence, not prejudice. The council members hesitated, unsure how to respond. The human's presence, his courage and clarity, seemed to shift the atmosphere. The princess looked at him, gratitude and respect shining in her eyes. She knew that his support was not just physical, it was moral, a demonstration of trust and alliance that transcended species. Elias continued, providing specific examples of her leadership. Yesterday, we navigated the palace together, facing hazards and threats. She led with intelligence and calm. She considered every possibility, ensuring safety and fairness. That is the measure of true leadership. The council members murmured among themselves. One older member, his eyes narrow and critical, finally spoke. Perhaps. The human is correct. The princess has shown capability. Yet trust must be proven. Our people require stability. The princess stepped forward, her voice firm, unwavering. Then let my actions today prove my worth. Let us address concerns openly, transparently, and with courage. I am prepared to answer your questions, to demonstrate my understanding and commitment to this planet and its people. The council fell silent. Elias felt the tension in the room ease slightly, replaced by a tentative curiosity. The princess's calm strength, combined with his clear support, created an undeniable presence. They were no longer individuals in opposition, they were a team, united by trust and shared purpose. Questions came, one after another, testing her knowledge, her judgment, and her intentions. Elias remained at her side, ready to interject only when necessary, letting her speak for herself. He watched as she answered each query with clarity and reason, never faltering, never resorting to defensiveness. Her intelligence shone, her confidence clear, and the council began to shift, their skepticism softening. Finally, after hours of discussion, a consensus emerged. The council members, recognizing her competence, nodded in acknowledgement. The opposition had been tested, and the princess had proven her capability beyond doubt. The chamber seemed to exhale collectively, a tension that had gripped it for weeks, dissipating in an instant. Elias turned to the princess, giving her a small, respectful nod. She returned it, her expression a mixture of relief and quiet pride. "You have done well," Elias said softly, once the council had dispersed. "And you?" she replied, a faint smile brushing her lips. "You stood beside me when I needed it most. Your courage, your presence, it changed the outcome." Elias shook his head lightly. "It was not courage alone. It was trust and understanding. You earned it." The princess's smile widened slightly. "Perhaps humans are more remarkable than I imagined." They walked together to the palace gardens, the twin suns casting long shadows and bathing the crystalline flora in warm, golden light. The air was calm now, peaceful, a stark contrast to the tension of the council chambers. Elias breathed deeply, feeling the relief and the sense of accomplishment that came with having helped restore balance and safety. "You know," the princess said quietly, "before you arrived, I feared that my people might never accept guidance beyond our own kind. But you have shown me that strength can come from unexpected places, and that trust can bridge worlds." Elias smiled, humbled by her words. "And you have shown me that leadership is not about power alone. It is about care, responsibility, and understanding. I have learned much from you, princess." They sat together by a pool that glowed faintly, watching as the water reflected the light of the setting suns. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence was comfortable, filled with the knowledge of shared trials, mutual respect, and the bond that had grown between them. Finally, the princess spoke again. "Tomorrow, we will begin the work of rebuilding trust among the council fully, ensuring that our people are united. But tonight, we can rest, knowing that we have faced challenges together and emerged stronger." Elias nodded. "I would be honored to share this evening in peace with you." The night descended over the palace, casting soft shadows and bathing the world in cool light. In the quiet of the gardens, they walked side by side, speaking in low tones, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet observations. The alien world seemed to embrace them, the glowing plants and crystalline towers reflecting a harmony that mirrored their own growing understanding and trust. As they reached a terrace overlooking the city, the princess paused, her gaze distant. "Elias," she said softly, "I did not expect that a human could make such a difference. You have not only protected me but shown me that courage and integrity exist beyond my world." He looked at her, meeting her gaze steadily. "And you have shown me that wisdom and strength are not measured by species, but by character. We are stronger together, princess, than alone." She smiled, a warmth that reached her eyes. "Yes, together." The stars began to appear, tiny points of light scattered across the darkening sky. The city below glowed softly, a testament to the civilization she led. And in that moment, Elias felt a profound sense of purpose. His mission had begun as duty, but it had grown into something far greater. A connection that transcended worlds. A friendship and partnership built on respect, trust, and courage. For the princess, the human had proven his worth, not through force or words alone, but through understanding, patience, and unwavering support. For Elias, the princess had revealed the strength of a leader who could balance power with care, intelligence with empathy. Together, they had faced danger, uncertainty, and doubt, emerging stronger, united by a bond that neither time nor challenge could break. As they stood together, the twin suns now gone, and the alien moons rising, both understood that their journey was only beginning. There would be more challenges, more moments that would test their resolve. But they also knew that the trust and respect they had built could overcome any obstacle. In the soft glow of alien night, two beings from different worlds stood together. Not as strangers, not as adversaries, but as allies, friends, and something more profound, proof that courage, understanding, and empathy could bridge even the greatest divides. And so, on that distant, luminous world, with stars above and crystal forests below, the story of trust, bravery, and the extraordinary bond between a human and an alien princess reached its moment of triumph, leaving the promise of even greater adventures yet to come.